minute.
I got you.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Warning. All right.
Welcome to the House of Static, where we talk to artists about their art and what moves them, with your hosts, Kilo House in Los Angeles and the Static Dive in New York.
And I've known for how long now? Like 5 years, I think.
Easily like 5.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Kilo, since this is only the second episode and nobody knows who the hell we are, we'll say real quick who we are, right? All right. So, so anyway, this is the House of Static, and named so for my friend Kilo House, and myself. I'm Bob Smith, also known as the Static Dive. So there you go. That's why we're the House of Static. We're a couple of musicians, obviously, right? Making our tunes, and we're talking to other artists about their art and what they do and why they do it and how they do it and everybody else. So Kilo, why don't you introduce yourself and our guest?
Yeah, I'm Kilo House. I kind of have been working on this genre called terror trap for about 2 years now. I don't know. I make music with lots of bass in it. I like experimenting with shit, and I like horror movies and doing fun stuff like that. So,
and Kilo's in LA, and I'm in New York.
Yeah.
And there you go. So Kilo, introduce Malachi. How about that?
This is Malachi. He taught me at a school called Icon Collective, which you guys have probably seen my interviews from them. And he taught both of my studio tech classes, right?
Probably, yeah.
And is my friend and taught me a lot of cool shit, kind of taught me about life. One of the things I really remember is the last day of school after my last final, we were talking about one of my remixes and how it was doing good. And I was like, yay, excited. And he was like, but remember, bro, you don't want to find the golden egg. You want to find the golden goose that shits out the golden egg.
Yeah, you got it right on.
And it's always stuck with me like that. And I'm just like, you got to keep people like him around that inspire you and teach you things like you, Bob, like that make you a better person, better producer. So and that's why we're interviewing him first, because we love, his music and we like the vibe that he brings. We want to bring that kind of vibe to people, and we know that you will enjoy his music. Just wait.
There you go.
I cannot say I'm honored. Like, thank you for the kind words, and just like knowing that the work that I'm doing is actually making a difference. That's like the best thing in the world. So
that's pretty
dude, your shit is dope too, by the way.
That's cool.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'll do because I don't know Malachi, right? I'm just meeting Malachi for the first time right now, and but I did do a little bit of research on it, because so I can tell you that I know that Malachi went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, which is, if you haven't heard of it, you probably have, because it's about the best music school in the country. You got to like Berklee and Juilliard and a couple others, and that's it. And then, and I know Malachi worked at Interscope Records, Universal Interscope. And I know that obviously Malachi taught at Icon Collective, and now you're teaching somewhere else, right, Malachi?
Yes, I teach at 1500 Sound Academy.
There you go. And you have your own production company.
Yes.
You alluded a little bit, Kilo, to, how you guys know each other, but why don't you talk a little bit about your experience at Icon, both of yours, you know what I mean? Like, Kilo, your experience with Malachi, and Malachi, tell us, what's up? What'd you do there?
Yeah. How weird you thought I was. Yes. Okay. So Malachi came my second or third semester. Right. He came one of the semesters.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. I'm trying. Come on, man.
It's all a blur for me.
I prepared this years ago. Don't worry. So he taught me in classes, and then I think we became friends from smoking cigarettes, right? Or being outside near the cigarette smoking place. And he really helped inspire me in a lot of ways. Like, one thing I very much remember to this day of producing earlier, right before you got here, was when when we were doing something we called office hours, where we sat in a big giant room called the producer's den, and we would show each other music and songs. That's what Malachi was doing. I don't know if you remember this story.
Go ahead.
But I brought this song to him that I thought was like the world's best banger in the world, which it has never come out, by the way. But I brought it to him and I showed him, and he was like, "Oh, that's dumb." But he said, "But I'd like to hear certain parts where there is no bass, so that when the bass does come in, it feels more heavy."
Yeah,
and at the moment, I was like, "I want bass everywhere. Give me all the bass to the face." But then, becoming a better producer, that has very much stuck with me, where it's like, you're right, there are certain spots where you need to use less sound to no sound. And if it weren't for this man, my bass would not hit as hard, because that's one of the biggest reasons it does, is I give it space. So,
and when you told me about that the other day, Kilo and Malachi, I'd love to hear what you think about this, but that reminded me of like any great jazz guy, I'll tell you that, right? Like Miles Davis is big on, like, music is the space between the notes. What matters is the you gotta let your music breathe. You gotta have some room for it to float around the room, so people kind of pick up on it and find their place in it. So
for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing you talk about jazz. That's where I got the lesson. When I was a jazz musician, I would just solo like crazy.
Right.
And I'd sit down all happy that everyone was applauding, and my jazz teacher, while he's still conducting, would lean into my ear and say, "A rest is a note too, right?"
Yeah, there you go, man. That's it. Exactly.
I was like, he got me.
I remember vividly you saying, I think it was you saying, that when you go to Berklee, you have to learn how to write music too.
You have to learn everything. You have to learn to conduct.
Why the fuck do I need to know this?
Well, I already knew how to do it. They were like so many classes on conducting, writing, like everything about music that you want to do, except for what I really wanted to do, which was make bangers.
Right.
I'm like, can I make Timbaland now? No? Okay.
No, not yet.
How about now? No? Okay. Now? No? Okay.
No.
So I think part of being a producer in today's world is really like discovering on your own how to do this.
Oh yeah.
And only the self-starters make it, So people like yourself, you just sit in your room and you just make music all the time.
In this room that we're all sitting right now.
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
How it works.
Yeah.
But it's and I agree. I mean, I'll agree mainly because, that's all I've ever done, right? I mean, I just kind of taught myself, and I've been doing it for God knows how many years. But if I had gone to Berklee, I maybe would have been able to cut maybe 10, 15 years off the beginning of the trip, learn a few things. Maybe. I don't know, like you note about the bass, but hey, rock on.
It depends on what you wanted to do. Like if you wanted to make something that they don't teach, then it probably would have added more years onto it.
Right on.
That's so true. There's certain things I find out to this day that I'm like I was doing something weird in warping the other day, and figured something out. I was like, why the fuck did they not teach me just to do this? This made it so much easier and faster, even with my own computer, that I was like, and why did we learn the hard thing? But
sometimes that's all there is. I when I learned how to auto-tune, they didn't have a certain tool that lets you just draw it. And then when the new version came out that literally cut the amount of time, I want to say by a fifth amount of time to do it, I showed it to the guy that taught me, and he cursed at me.
Really?
Because he knew now that he was obsolete.
Right.
It was like, why would he teach that? Yeah. So it's just dang. So
funny. Sure. I mean, that is that sort of closed-minded, living with blinders on, mentality. It's not gonna work in life. Doesn't work in art. That's for sure. You know what I mean? You go you find a cool new tool, man. Dive in, dig it. You know what I mean? And not this. I don't like that because it's it's against what I'm teaching or what I'm making. That's how I'm getting paid.
Job security though. They all want job security. They want to learn, hey, I spent the time and money on this thing. I want to make sure I get the most out of it. Right. I don't want to have to sell it and buy another thing.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But
it makes sense. But that's art though. I think art is all about, especially because art is a liberal thing, right? So you can't be conservative about it. You have to be moving forward, thinking forward.
Got to change, man. You got to.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I remember when Chico, one of our friends, told me about Apple Music was the new thing, and I was like, "You're wrong." And he told me they're gonna start putting a volume cap on Spotify, and I was like, "You're wrong." He was right about everything he told me that I thought was dumb. So it's like in our industry, everything just moves so fast that you kind of miss it. And you're like, for instance, it's like Ableton 11 now, right? Or like
10.
Like it's still, I don't even know what mine is. It's like,
I see the box for 9 right over
all
there.
right, Ableton 9. So, I mean, that's how fast it moves. I thought I was doing good, but then it's like, oh, new Ableton, new Ozone, new whatever.
Yeah, that Ozone keep coming out every year, man. I'm like,
not paying that much every year.
New computer every year.
That's the
every year.
Yeah, dude. So back to how I know Malachi. After I graduated and told me the golden shitting goose thing, we started hanging out and going to this like.
I just want to see a golden shitting goose now. I mean,
yeah, I know. When I
have to draw a picture.
When I find it, I'm supposed to keep it, like he told me. So we'll work on that.
Right on.
But me and him started going to this like bar once a week. Remember that one?
Which is it? The Mint? No,
the one with the poet, the big painting of the poet outside.
Oh yeah, that was the Mint. Yeah. So we go to the Mint for the honey pot.
Yeah, the honey pot. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. So the honey pot is dope. So we used to go there, and I used to get smashed, and then not drive myself home, which is smart. So, but now I don't drink anymore, and I don't drink Malachi Jameson.
Yeah, I'm not a drinker.
We'll definitely talk about that aspect of being a producer and artist. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I feel like whatever we put into our bodies, such as media, social media, no media, religion, sex, drugs, those words don't usually go together. Anything you pick like that.
It depends on your religion.
Whatever you are consuming, you are going to shit out.
Right. All right. I like that.
Yeah,
right.
There you go. So, I told you, we get deep on here sometimes.
We're all on the same page then.
Yeah, because they always say you are what you eat, but I think they should say you are what you consume.
Right.
It's not just your food. It's also, substances. It's also media.
Right.
Whatever you consume becomes your spirit.
Right.
That's who you are.
Right. And I would love to know what certain things inspired you to write what you do, even if you don't know. For instance, like I write horror-based music just because I've lived a lot of horror in my life, and that feels comfortable to me to make. So it's like, to me, it's not depressing or sad or evil or angry. It feels normal to me. And I think even though not every artist can identify what it was that made them write the music they write, there is an underlying reason behind it. So what are your thoughts on all of it?
So my brand is empowering artists to create art the world deserves.
Nice.
I believe that art is the way that the people get to tell the history, right? Because if you read the history books, it's written by whoever won the war.
That's right.
Right.
So it's like, all right, so if you want to know from like what really was going on, you got to dig up, poetry, whatever you could find from those people.
Right. Yeah.
Because artists don't usually win the war.
Right. No,
so they're not the right ones in the book.
We're definitely not the strongest ones.
Right.
So.
We're going to smoke weed and say, let's just chill, man.
Yeah, man. Be peaceful, man.
Come on, yeah.
My goal is to empower everyone to tell their actual story. In my life and my music, I want to also inspire people to tell their story. So does that make sense? So I'm going to be authentic in my music.
So much sense.
And I want to make sure that everyone, after listening to my music, is in a better mood than they were when they listened to it.
Right.
So specifically for me, like I have 2 brands. One is about confidence, and I just exude confidence in it because I want people to listen to it and be more confident. Right. And the other one is about intimacy. Because they always say sex sells, but the truth is I feel like intimacy is what everyone really wants.
Connection.
Yeah. Because if I said, hey, there's 2 homeless guys going at it behind a dumpster, nobody's going to want to see that.
Right.
So it's not
somebody does, but not me.
There's a market for it.
Yeah, but if you see a father and a daughter just hugging and embracing each other, that's beautiful.
Right.
So I have a brand that's all about intimacy, and that brand is doing very well.
Nice.
So
Cool,
that's kind of what informs my music and what I do. I consume that stuff
Right,
and then
that's what I
I
was
put it back
gonna ask.
into my.
What do you purposely consume in your everyday life to make you be able to produce the product that you desire?
So now we're talking drugs?
Sure.
Well, just what do you consume?
Like we said, it can be any way
You're right.
you want.
How do you interpret the question?
All right, so I'm a big fan of cannabis. That is definitely my drug of choice.
We are in California.
Yes, and I fought it my whole life because drugs are bad and good, and I grew up thinking that, and then I was around all these successful Black people who every single one of them. I don't think I've met a single successful Black man that does not smoke cannabis.
Right on.
And so I was like, all right, like there must be something to this. And I immediately, once I started smoking, was like, okay, I get it. Like when you're doing art, you can be way more present. You can hear way more things.
Oh yeah.
And then also just in life, it gives you the ability to like be like, it's not that big a deal. I'm gonna just chill and figure this out.
Right.
So that's my I definitely am pro cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you won't get any detractors here on that point. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I think less and less every day. It's risky to say that.
Well, yeah, it's even legal in New York now.
Yeah, I know. It's great. I'm from New York. When I left New York, they had to stop and frisk where they were throwing people in jail for it. So to me, it's crazy that New York is just like, yeah, we're just smoking it now.
Right. It's a weird thing. I like this question of like, why do you create? What is it that motivates you to be at the beginning and also currently, right? And one of the reasons I like it is because I never really knew what was motivating me. You know what I mean? I kind of was just making, I was making music because I was a weird ADD kid and I drank too much. And all of that came out of me. So now I go back and listen, and I've been making music for 30 years, right? So I'll go back and listen to that stuff, some really brilliant stuff. But you want to slit your wrists when you're listening to it because that kid is so sad and depressed and lonely and drunk, and that's what I was putting out. That's what I'm putting in. That's what I'm putting out. You suck down a depressant all day long, and then you're just going to make depressing shit. So now I don't do any of that, right? I don't drink. I'm vegan. I'm all kinds of. So I'm putting healthy things in. Now I'm making kind of cool tunes, So I like that. I like that. Like the notion of like being inspired by your own life, by how you mold your life, that molds your art. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know some people, I listen to their music and I'm like, oh, this person needs a hug, and it's
right.
I want to make sure whatever I put into the world, makes people happier, because that I would think that's the goal for most people, is to be more happy today than they were yesterday.
Sure.
Most people, right? So if that's the case, then how do I contribute to that?
Right.
That's awesome. Love it.
Now, do you feel like when something inspires you, do you feel like it's a noticeable inspiration more often than not, or something that you don't even realize is inspiring you to write the music that you make? Such as weed, obviously will alter the way your brain is thinking, so you make different music. But other things, such as someone flipping you off in traffic, maybe you don't know that that's why you wrote that song.
Maybe
yesterday that said "fuck you," and you're like, I'm not even mad, but you were. You just didn't know it. Which one do you both feel is the more valid answer?
That's an interesting question. I never thought about this. I think when I sit down to work, because I don't get to work on it every day because I have so many things I'm doing. I used to be able to make music all day, every day, and that was that would make more sense. But now when I sit down, I don't have the luxury of going, am I inspired? It's like, look, I got 6 hours right now.
Got some work to do, right?
Yeah, I've got to figure this out.
Right.
But what I've been doing is I just go, how do I feel right now?
Right.
What is inside of me? Mm-hmm. What emotion, what feeling, and then what story can I tell that would be true to that emotion and feeling? The story doesn't have to be authentic. It doesn't have to be mine, but the feeling has to be authentic. Right. So like I'm thinking of a specific time, beginning of the pandemic, I'm dating a woman, and the relationship, I can feel she's starting to exit, Mm-hmm. Yeah, y'all know what that feeling is. Mm-hmm. So she's in the bed, not very happy. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta write some rhymes anyway. I have this horrible feeling in my gut. I'm going to use this feeling.
Right.
So I ran into the other room. I pulled up the mic. I did a bunch of melodies on top of a Juice WRLD track,
Nice.
Talk about feelings, right?
Right.
And then I literally just told the story of where I was in that moment with that woman.
That's
literally
beautiful.
Told that story. Yeah. Because I'm like, I have these feelings anyway. I might as well use it to make something people can connect to. Right. And when I listen back to it, it's really dope. I got to finish the song and actually make a track.
Well, how are you going to finish it if you don't feel the same emotion?
Well, I have the everything is there. I just got to make new music for it. So I can't use Juice WRLD's track.
Right.
So if I can, make that happen and I can get myself anywhere. I'm a really good actor now at this point.
We were talking about being actors earlier.
Yeah, we're all actors. If you show up sad and you got to make a happy song, you got to get yourself happy. If you're happy and you got to make a sad song, you got to make yourself sad.
Right.
I can make myself cry almost on command because I've been doing this so long.
Right.
So yeah, I'll get back in and I'll finish that.
It's like playing. Well, I was gonna say it's like playing live, right? Because I play in bands and stuff. I'm a guitar player, obviously, right? So, and you're going from song to song. I'll play 30 songs in a night. Well, I'm not. And one of them's real happy. The next one's depressing as hell. The next one's happy, and you got to dive in and whether it's acting or kind of channeling, you know what I mean, that emotion for that time period, you got to do it, or else it's not authentic. So yeah, you can't just have one emotion the whole time while the music changes. You got to go up and down with it. Yeah, right. Sing the song about depression with a smile on your face. You can't, hey,
yeah, right.
Right.
I'm gonna sit my best.
I never really thought of that because I'm a DJ and I was a metal drummer, so I never thought if you make music that's not one emotion, which is fuck your face hard, then you have to be able to dive into that emotion at the moment. Like if they Blink-182 was playing Adam's song and they did a dick joke in the middle of that song, no one would like them ever again. No. Because it's a song about depression and suicide.
That's right.
Then you made a dick joke. Well, how are you going to snap yourself out of that, fart joke mentality? I've never really had to think about that being in the genres I've played, but that would be difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, you got to commit 110% to whatever that feeling is. I hate when people do the song Pony by Genuine, but they don't commit to the sex of it. That song is sex.
Right.
And if you're going to do it any other emotion other than sex, no one's going to like it. It's going to be cheesy.
Like it.
But people do it all the time. Every time I see someone do a cover, they're just like, if you're horny, let's do it. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? If you're not trying to make the people in front of you want to make love to you, do not do this song.
Right.
Right on.
And I feel that goes for every song. If you're not trying to make the people in front of you feel that feeling, don't do that song.
Sure. What about you, Bob? What do you think inspires you more, or how do you think you get your inspiration, cognitively or uncognitively?
I would, we've talked a little bit about this before, but everything I do is improv. Right. I improvise when I'm writing. I improvise when I'm playing live. That is just how I approach music. So I definitely, obviously whatever emotion I'm feeling is going into what I'm writing. Right. But I'm completely unconscious of it. Right. I just play. Right. And I got that little cheap piano back there. I write almost everything on that thing. It's hooked up to my iPad. And it's always set to it's got a chord gap on there with the piano on. And I just walk up and I just, noodle around and I get my phone and I record it. And then later on, maybe 2 months later, I'll listen because I've got hundreds of these things on my phone. And I'll go back and listen to those things to go, well, shit, what was I doing there? What was I feeling? And I'll name them weird things and it'll be I don't know, a birdhouse or something, and then it'll trigger some memory. And then I kind of recreate that for myself when I go and just say, this is a good one, I'm going to record it, and then I get to sit down in the studio, start tracking, and then it becomes something. So it's almost like my past self from 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, or 20 years ago, inspiring me now to go and do something new. That's kind of how I do it.
That's cool.
And especially some of the stuff right. And that's a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, because Kilo and I do music together, which is cool as hell. Because I do mostly most of my stuff is either I do a lot of trip hop stuff, and then I do a lot of like alternative rock stuff, right? Kind of mellow, hippie, psychedelic alternative rock stuff. And none of that is what Kilo does, but I've been giving him my tracks, and he mixes them up. And I tell everybody that listens to the story. The first song I gave to Kilo, he remixed it for me, and I got a record deal. So we're in, man. That's a true story. And
you can thank Malachi for how good I am at mixing and mastering.
There you go, man.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
You did a great job. I am actually good.
You did a great job.
Good job.
Well, there you go. But my point of bringing that up is exactly that. It's an example of, because a lot of times I'm taking songs, I've written hundreds, right? And I'll go back and listen to these old songs I wrote maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I go, hey, that was a good one. And I did a shitty recording of it. Maybe I was drunk. Maybe I didn't play as well back then, whatever. Right. So I'll re-record it. And now I'm like, I'll track it and I just give the stems to Kilo and he'll go nuts on it. Maybe he speeds it up. Maybe he drops some bass on it or whatever. But it's that initial like spark from a long time ago, inspiring both Kilo and I to create something new. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's also good for me because I don't drink anymore, and I haven't drank for 5 years now. Right. I write less lyrics now than I used to because I don't have write lyrics when you got shit on your mind. I'm pretty happy, So I make I'll go pull some of those old ones out. Anyway, I'm rambling. Go ahead.
I'm gonna cheat on this question a little bit because I did not give you option 3, letter 3, but. I find that my method is when I write a song or do a remix or anything, that track will show me what my emotion is by me hearing it. So it's like me talking to me and saying, hey, bro, like, for instance, for my music these days, it's like, hey, bro, you're going through this or that. Like, right. You are grieving about this. Not that I write sad music by any means, but to me, that's how it makes me perceive the way I wrote it. And so it makes me go, okay, I need to kind of think about this. And I think I shared with Bob before that I put a little secret sound bites or sounds or something in my music to talk to myself, like a Easter egg. So for instance, in one of my new remixes, it's not a funny song, but in the end, before the last drop, it says something like, I will never take movement for granted ever again, or something like that. And it's kind of me talking to myself about being in the ICU and remembering that feeling when I didn't know if I'd ever move again. And it's like, I'm putting that in there for me. And if you heard it, even though you know me, you'd be like, why did you put that stupid thing there? It's like, I'm talking to myself, reminding myself of things. Mm-hmm. And I think I used to do that subconsciously because of what I just said, which is that's the way I identify with my emotions is, oh, this is what you're thinking. I think you both can agree. I think one thing is it really shows what your overlying repetitive thoughts are, right? So you can have a bad day and still write a happy song. I agree. But you can't be depressed and write only happy songs.
Right.
That emotion will leak through whether you want it to or not. So if you're writing music that's like talking about like you're going to murder everybody and it's not a metal band, obviously, then like you might want to go and talk to a doctor. Maybe that would be the best plan. I don't know. That was kind of a cheap answer for me because that's neither of the options, but that is how I feel about how I do.
Yeah.
So right you like a litmus test.
Sure. Yeah. It's very much, oh, why was I feeling that way? Oh, what was I so excited about that day? Oh, who did I hate that? But luckily I am a stable personality, so I kind of write the same type of music most often.
You're pretty consistent, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to get to the question that I've wanted to know ever since I decided I could ask you anything.
Well, there you go.
Which don't be afraid.
All right.
Or be very afraid.
I'm terrified. Let's go.
Don't worry. What got you into music? See, it's not that. What made you, unless your answer is like crazy, what made you want to make music, kind of the whole gist of you and music, right? So what was a song that inspired you right off the bat or something and you were like, I love music, anything like that? Like
oh man,
what's your first favorite song? Just to let us know inside.
All right, well, when it comes to like playing music, I just fell in love with the saxophone when I was in 4th grade. You know, they give you like the sheet with all the instruments. And I remember looking at it and going, which one will get the panties off the quickest?
See, here we go. That's where I knew that.
What do you think? I got all these guitars back here, man.
Yeah, see, I mean, everyone's motivated by something. So, you know, I played sax, but then I remember listening to that coincidentally, the Genuine album, The Bachelor. And that was the first time I understood what a producer was, because Tim did the whole album. Right. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, he is in charge of this whole project. I want to be able to do that one day. And then when I went to college, I stopped playing music. I left my sax at home and I was like, look, I got to get serious. It's time to make money. So I went to school for computer engineering and I hated it. Or I just hated the experience. And Kanye West came to the school with his college dropout tour, which still to this day, so confusing why a college would hire someone whose tour was called College Dropout.
That's great.
And he made so much sense. Everything he said, he just kept going on rants about how we're trying to live our parents' life.
True.
And I was like, I am definitely living into the dream that my parents have, not mine. Yeah. So shortly after that, I dropped out and I decided and I think one thing that made it easy for me to drop out, I was really depressed in college. That was the first time I ever failed any classes. I've been straight A student. I skipped a grade. School was my thing. Right. I got to college and I was just like, what is this? I don't like it. It's not fun. It was so lame.
Well, there you go. You answer it right off the bat. Like, what is, I don't like it? I mean, that's the answer, right? This is not for me. It's
not for me.
That's right.
Yeah. And and so to cope with it, I started making beats in my bedroom. That was the first time I started actually making beats. I had Reason. And I literally just started making beats. And
Reason. I love Reason. Reason was.
It was an easy gateway drug to get in there. It was very small, short learning curve.
FL Studio heroin for you.
I know. I tried, but the Reason took quicker. So I just stayed. I probably should have did.
Reason was cool. Reason was cool.
Yeah, program. It was easy. And because I was a composer, I would compose everything in a different program, all the MIDI, and then I would just export the MIDI, put it in. I never played anything. And then I had a whole song. I just put new sounds to it. So once I had that pop in, my roommate told all of the rappers at the school. And next thing you know, every week I had a different rapper coming in to record with me. Right. I went and bought a microphone and I was like, yo, I like this. It's fun, it's challenging, and it creates community around me. Mm-hmm. So I think I finished the first full song I did, which was a theme song for the show that everyone watched at the school. It was the only show anyone watched. It was called Stony Brook Uncut. So I made the beat and then I actually ended up rapping on it, which was not something I thought was ever going to happen. And I was like, I could do this. I could totally do this. So I dropped out and went to sign up for Berklee. And that was the beginning of me all right, I'm committing 100% to, I'm going to be a music guy.
That's cool. Where'd you grow up in New York anyway, Malachi?
Hempstead, Long Island.
I know where that's right. I'm upstate. I'm up kind of north of Albany, but I go down to the city a lot, so I know. And I've been to Hempstead.
Yeah, Hempstead's dope. I miss it. I do miss it. Every time I go back, it's like, what? This is not the same place. What's going on?
Right.
So
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's really weird. I miss it. But, yeah.
On a good point Malachi made, whether anybody else caught it or not, is sometimes when everything shits the bed at once and you're depressed or some bunch of shit happens, you have nothing more to lose. So that's how I became a producer. Losing my dog, losing my car, losing my girlfriend, still living with my girlfriend without my dog or my car. Nothing could have really gone worse to me.
Got nothing to lose.
So it's like, of course I'm going to sit in my apartment and make beats that I don't know how to make, that don't sound like music, because I got nothing else to lose. And sometimes that bottom of the barrel is the entire sky, or I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that describes basically my life up until about the age of like 29. I mean, like I never had anything to lose. You know, I grew up pretty poor and, you know, and like I said, pretty drunk. So didn't have a lot going on. It was, you know, it was making me, I was same as you, but like I was really good at school. That was my saving grace. And I like making music, you know, all kinds of music, everything. But yeah, I constantly wrote because nothing to lose, man. I'm gonna be a rock star because nothing else to do.
Yeah,
you know?
And I think that's really the key is when you don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, you know? I can definitely say I'm the producer I am now because I went homeless. I lost everything. You know, I really didn't have anything, and I was in my car. And I didn't have anything to lose, so I started taking bigger risks. Like I started my own company, and then I could say no to stuff because I didn't have to worry about my rent. You know, like people like, "Hey, you got to do this for exposure." No, I don't.
No, I don't. Fuck off.
Like I'm not out. Like
I'm just learning all that now. You know, because I just quit. I worked in corporate America for years and years, and I played music the whole time. But I had this corporate job, sitting at a desk, and I just quit it a few I don't know, 6-7 months ago, and started my own business. You know, and it's a weird thing to get used to think like I can actually do whatever the hell I want. You know what I mean? Like I can go, I can work all night. I can sleep all day. I can talk to this person if I want to. I can not talk to that person if I don't want to. And, you know, fuck them if they don't like it, you know? And that's a pretty great liberating feeling, you know, as you're saying, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, because from the time you're a kid, your whole life is kind of dictated for you. You know, like you don't have the luxury of, you know, screwing around and messing things up. So when I finally got to a place where I could actually do that, it was really nice.
Yeah.
And before we get off the subject, I do want to get an answer to one part of that question that you get to answer. What was one of the first songs you remember going, I love music? Like, I can remember All Star by Smash Mouth was like, when I heard that song, I was like, music is fucking great. I love it. The Shrek song?
Yeah. Kilo loves Smash Mouth.
I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, I tried. The first time you told me, I was like, "You love Smash Mouth?"
Really? Well, I think I seem like the happy-go-lucky type of dude to enjoy something like that.
Well, it's not the happy-go-lucky part about it that's not believable. It's like the commercial, like.
Okay, but when it came out, it wasn't in Shrek right away.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Shrek.
Hey, you know what? We are not shaming you for digging Smash Mouth. It's just surprising. That's all.
No, I love it. My dad always calls me a paradox because I'll, for instance, write music with horror movie screams and people dying and stuff, and say I'm doing it to make people happy.
And it's like, fun. Your shit's fun.
People,
it's
maybe
fun.
not.
It's true.
Yeah. So, but like, what's one of the songs at least that you can remember that you were like, fuck?
I'm thinking, there's a video of me. I hope the tape is burned by this point.
We're gonna find it.
My mom has it hidden somewhere if it doesn't
a little
exist.
bit, God, you'll find it. Don't worry.
It's a tape of me bottomless as I'm like 2.5, 3 years old.
You will not find it. We burned it. We burned it for him.
Yes, thank you.
He made the fire to put it in.
But I'm singing The Big Payback, James Brown, dancing around full energy. I'm a son of a man.
Oh man,
you know, like
stuff. Yeah.
And, apparently, I really loved that song every time it came on.
You were a smart kid. That's some good shit, man. That's awesome.
It's a good song, man.
You
know? He said, make love to my girlfriend. That ain't right. Like that song just spoke to me, man. It spoke to me.
But if you think about that, that's kind of the kind of vibe you give off in your music, right? So it's like maybe what we start off by being inspired by, even though people think, like, whatever, fuck you. I do make music based off of movies, though. All of my inspiration comes from movies. Not that has anything to do with Shrek, but maybe. Maybe I should put a Shrek soundbite in. But no, right back to what you were saying about the music you make. You might make that because that's what lit the fire inside of your inside.
Well, my house is a musical house. Like when I went home in the last December, I was there for 4 months, and my parents have a dance party like every other night. It's just impromptu. Yeah. Music will just be playing all the time and they'll just start dancing together. And when I first started seeing it, I was like, wow, okay, this is a thing. And then like by the 5th time, I was ready. Like every time I'd hear the songs, I'm like, oh, they about to start dancing.
Yeah. I got this.
You know, so, you know, my house was always like that. The amount of records that my mom and dad owned when I was a kid is astronomical. There's so many records.
Hey, there's a good question. What were they? Like what records did your parents play?
What records didn't? My dad's favorite is James Brown. So he's got so many James Brown records that I'm like, how do you have all of these records from this one person? They liked Ohio Players, you know, Zapp and Roger was a big one my dad liked. Michael Jackson was huge in our house. I'm trying to think of any other ones that just stand out. So those are the main ones.
Great, like 80s funk and R&B stuff. And
definitely was in that realm. They weren't really up on the new yet, but you know, because I started listening to my own music and buying stuff, they started getting into the newer stuff too. But you know, I definitely remember the first time I could go and actually buy my own music. It was so liberating to just like explore and just check music out.
Oh man. There was this Christian bookstore, back in my hometown that had a CD section. So it was all ratchet. You go and get the little thing and then put it in the little like CD player up here. There wasn't even a Walkman, and then you plug the headphones in. You could just sit there and listen to music to see if you like it. But I would just sit in the store and listen to music until I had to go home. Yeah. But like, so that's how I found half the bands I listened to before when I was like really young. But it was like, that was like the best fun to me. That was like an amusement park. It was like, I found POD through that means, like just these bands that we know now as big bands, but back then it was like, who the fuck is a POD? What's a POD?
POD? Pod?
What's a pod? Like, come on, bro. But so, it's very interesting when you have the ability, even though it was all Christian music and stuff, I didn't give a fuck. You know, like when you have the ability, for instance, I will remember till the day I die, the first CD I went into a store by myself. This is when I was in a pushing wheelchair, not like a fun sex toy. And stuff.
Wait a minute, what? Did you see a fun sex toy? What the hell are you doing on that thing?
You don't worry about it. Not for you to know. But like for real though, like I went in and pushed my ass into the fucking mall, into FYE to buy Sum 41. And like, I was so happy. I went and bought it myself. My friends had it and I wanted it. And I went to get it before our vacation with my parents. Like, I still remember the first CD I ever made a conscious effort, more than a normal person's effort, to have.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
That's a freeing feeling for sure. Do you remember, Malachi, the first song or album or single or thing that you were like, I gotta have this?
Gotta have?
No, you know what I think.
Well, no, because the thing that happened was I was getting hand-me-downs. So like I listened to, so first thing, the things that I know that I fell in love with first.
The first thing you picked out for yourself where you were like, nobody's ever shown
Crisscross.
Not
that was first grade. I'm like, yo, Crisscross is so lit.
Crisscross is that's the Mac Daddy and the Daddy Mac, right?
Yeah, Mac Daddy, Daddy Mac. That's awesome. Making it Mac. And I wanted to dress like them. I wanted to have braids. I had an earring.
Did they have the kid play kind of flat tops?
No, they just had box.
Oh, that's right. They had
the cornrows. And then their clothes were oversized and backwards.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, you don't know about
I remember that.
I gotta put you on after this.
Maybe.
I gotta put you on.
I don't know, man. I gotta see this backwards shit.
It was
that was the thing. Yep.
Yeah, and they were like
all the way brand.
They were like the coolest kids ever, man. These two kids making the music together, just super confident and chill. I wanted to be like them so bad. So I would say that's the first thing that I chose. You know, but I did have like LL Cool J's album. I'm not gonna lie, like someone gave me that.
Right.
And I remember just
those
playing
those first couple of LL albums are just still so badass. I mean, there's a great story. I don't know if it's true or not, but the mythology of LL is that when he was like 17, he busted into a record label with a boombox of his music and just like I got with a beat playing on his boombox and started rapping like when they're having a meeting. That's what I read anyway. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But
that's believable.
Yeah, I mean, he is LL. You know,
Yeah.
He's a big dude. He can bust in, go, yo, what's up? So
yeah, he has one of the longest careers I've ever seen. You know,
he's awesome. He's awesome.
He's been big since before I was born. So it's like, by the time, I was listening to him, he already had albums and, he was able to have hits even after that.
LL and I are about the same age. I think he's probably about 50. I'm 50. And so I was in high school and LL was the same age as me and he was already famous. You know what I mean? Like that's where, he's been at it since he was a kid. He's the man.
Yeah.
Love LL.
Yeah. Doesn't that hurt your pride? Yeah, your ego. No.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, yeah. That's my whole life. You know what I mean? Like
I look at LeBron. LeBron's my age, and I'm like, oh my God, how is this guy my age? He's accomplished everything.
Exactly.
So many people feel that way, but in my mind, I always go, if they can accomplish something that big, I can do it too if I want to bad enough. Maybe I want to eat more cheeseburgers than they want to eat.
That's fair.
There you go.
Like, maybe there are values that I have that they don't have, that may be making me not live out my dream or what I think I want to do with my life.
It's just like the time, the time dilation just feels wrong. Like, how did he do all of that by this year? That doesn't make sense. Right.
Well,
it's just how do you fit it all in there? So
Well, and really, when you talk about that, you're talking about old school New York hip hop, right? Because that's really what all those. I mean, the whole whole Def Jam scene with Russell Simmons and the Beastie Boys and LL Cool J and Run DMC. They were all kids. They were real young, and they were making these huge hit records. I mean, it was a cool time. That's as far as hip hop goes. That like New York '80s hip hop is really where I grew up with that. I love that stuff. So every Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane, Eric B. Rakim, that stuff. And they were kids. They were not. Big Daddy was not really a Big Daddy. He was like a 20-year-old kid, but he just looked like Big Daddy.
A big child.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Great stuff.
So like we've been talking about inspiration. We do that a lot on this show, but like, I've been wondering, what do you find keeps you inspired, right? So in those moments such as what you were talking about earlier in this interview, like when you're homeless or whatever, those moments, what made you go, I'm not going to give up? A, I'm not going to kill myself, which is the first choice. B, I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do. What in those dark, dark times made you continue doing what you did?
Probably my mom. Like, I got a lot of student loans. Berklee was not cheap. And when you die, they don't disappear. They just go to the next person.
Somebody else got to pay them, right?
Yeah, so I got to pay this shit off before I die, or else it's going to pass on to my family. So I always say that's the thing. There's zero, like, I don't get to make decisions based on how I feel. I'm on a mission. So that conviction is kind of, I guess, what keeps me going is, I'm not going to do it any specific way, but I'm never going to quit because, I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to my family. I made a promise to, even my students, like, what would that look like if they're like, oh, I learned from this guy that quit and then killed himself. That thing makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I found too is that when you're going through like a hard time like that, right? And especially as an artist, and if you are lucky enough to have the support system, you got a family, you got friends, you got fans, whatever it is. And, like what I've found is that you realize that because I've always kind of assumed like, people probably think I'm just wasting my time. This music thing is just Bob. That's just Bob being weird, Bob, and he's making music and whatever, But the truth is that the people that care about you actually care about what you're doing too. They care about what you're creating, and they care about seeing you fulfill, what it is that you have inside of you, And like I was talking about quitting my job. When I quit my job, I was making a lot of money. It was a good job. And I figured my family, my girlfriend, my mom, everybody would be like, you can't quit your job. You've achieved so much. And all of them were like, that's a good idea.
Great idea.
Like, really? What? How was that a good idea? I'm going to go play guitar instead of making $100,000 a year in corporate America. They're like, yeah, you should. Okay, then, right. And that's people that care about you actually feel that way about you. You know what I mean? They believe in you. And I think that's pretty cool. You forget that. Yeah. I forget that. I think everybody forgets that. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Definitely good to have people in your corner.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I always have told people, I think I've told both of you this before. The way I like to explain it is it's like we're driving in the desert and we've passed a sign a while back that says last gas station next 2 miles or whatever for
100 miles or whatever, right? Yeah.
If you realize you only have 49 miles of gas left, you better hope to fuck that there's a gas station up ahead that you're eventually going to run into. Mm-hmm. Rather than going, I don't have enough gas to get back to that gas station. So putting yourself in that scenario, I'm not telling all you people to take huge risks, but putting yourself in a scenario where you have driven past the gas station and you're going to fucking imagine that fucking gas station and that soft drink or that beer or that cigarette at that gas station that you assume is going to come. And you know what? Once we die, if we never made it to the gas station, we don't fucking know. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but it's like, I know that I'm going to be successful because I will die trying. So I will die thinking that I will still be successful.
Well, yeah. And you know what? It's about what does successful mean? You end up defining success for yourself as you
most of my life trying to figure that one out.
And you will. That's the thing. You will, because your definition of success will change as you go forward. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm going to say. Right. Yeah. Let's hear about your music. I had a question about your music. Now, I was listening to your Spotify last night while playing games on Xbox, and you have a lot of remixes that you've been putting out, which I find is a smart thing to do.
So I actually didn't put those out. So I've been doing work for hire. Yeah, I've been doing work for hire. People pay me to do these remixes. Nice. I've been doing it for like 4 years, and then all of a sudden they just started coming out. So I think there's like 20 up there. There's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I at first, every time people did it and they tried to tag me, it would create a whole new profile on Spotify. Yeah. Right. So I had to release one song so I could claim my name and then connect all of them together. I did that last week. So my Spotify looks nice now. I never had a Spotify profile.
It does. That's pretty cool. What's your name on Spotify so that everyone's listening?
Just Malachi Mott. That's how you find me. Right. I have more than one brand, but that's the brand that you can find my newest stuff. Yeah. And
that's cool too.
The second track is my favorite thing I think I've ever made.
Which one is it?
Onward. Yeah, that might be the best track that I've ever
made. You just answered my random question, so I have to think of another fucking question while you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Right. Well, I was just gonna ask about that. That's cool about the other people were putting the remixes up, because then you didn't have to clear the rights on anything.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything. People give me the files. I make the remix. They pay me up front. I'm not getting any royalties on the most of those. Right. And then they just uploaded them, and I'm like, oh, this is like the smartest way I could have did this, because now I have a presence on Spotify, and I got paid to do it. So
you should check out because you should still get mechanical royalties, I think, on that stuff. Because you're a contributing artist on it, so you should check into that.
Well, I'll see what I can work out. But to be honest, I didn't know that people were going to even release the songs. They're all it's all work for hire. So most of the people who I work with, they never put the songs out. That's like one of the worst things about artists is just being scared to release stuff. So I just started doing work for hire because I'm like, why would I want points on a song that doesn't come out? Right. Yeah, so I'm like, all right. And I'm just helping the average person too. They're not like famous people. Some of them actually do have a decent following, but they're not anyone that you would know.
That's dope.
So I'm really enjoying.
You got a lot of listens on those songs, so
some of them are pretty. Yeah, that second one was crazy. And then the song that I released on there is called "About to Blow." So if you want to hear like what I sound like,
I think that's the one that I like the most.
Yeah, I mean that's my song.
I think that one is the one I was like,
oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and it's only a minute long, so it's in and out. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Thanks.
I don't know if you can hear it. I'm playing it right now.
You gotta share the audio with the Zoom then.
I know. I'll stop. I was just being funny. But yeah, I'm gonna put it.
That song is one of my favorites. I'm gonna try to do like a song a month like that. Just keep them short.
Everybody look it up.
Put them out.
It's fun time.
Yeah, and confident. I'm trying to help everybody just feel confident.
In this day and this climate of the world today, we need to be as confident as possible.
Agreed.
Yeah. So,
it's not easy.
What do we have in store for us as your fans? What can we be looking out for? I know you talked about wanting to play out more.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing live. I don't know what it's gonna look like yet, but I've decided, within the next 3 months, I'm gonna figure it out and have like something where I can start performing live and having my brand come to the people instead of people having to come to me. I can honestly say that I've been hesitant to do that because it's like a full-time job on top of having a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs. So I might have to let something go and figure out how to have this supplement my income instead. But I'm really looking forward to being with the people and sharing my energy and getting their energy.
That's cool.
That is very
good. All the hot girls that are going to want to talk.
There you go.
All the hot girls that are on Zoom.
Not are on Zoom.
No more Omegle women for you tonight. Or no chatterbait tonight.
Chatterbait. That's so hilarious.
Okay, but no, yes, for real. Now I'm going to say the word upcoming, and I just talked about chatterbait. But anyways, what upcoming releases do you have that we can maybe?
I don't have any.
Forward to? Nothing. You just wing it.
I've been doing. Well, I do work for hire, right? And the amount of energy that it takes to do that doesn't leave me with anything left in the tank for myself. Right. So at some point, I'm gonna have to quit doing the work for hire because I can't do that and produce my own music.
Right.
I've tried, but literally, it's like a gas tank. You run out, and you have to wait for it to kind of fill back up.
Oh, for inspiration?
No, just the amount of time you can spend sitting in front of the computer. Not even inspiration wise. Like there's only a certain amount of time, and then my brain starts going, and
it's funny you say that.
I think Valente told me it's called like noise blindness or some shit where everything starts to jumble together. Your ears get drained, and it's like one tone. And I've had that happen many times. So what's your biggest long-term goal that you're willing to share with us?
Biggest long-term goal? Wow. Biggest long-term goal that I can share that would actually make sense is having a team where we are just cranking out like 10 songs a day that goes somewhere. So it's not like 10 songs and we're holding on to them.
Right.
It's like, like we're getting hired to do the 10. So every single song is going somewhere. Yeah. We're just banging them out. So that's what I'm working on. That's like 3 years from now. I'll have that.
Right.
No, but that's I think a reasonable goal considering the quality of music I've heard you produce even years ago.
Well, thank you, man.
I really wanted to compliment you on how you mix the vocals in those remixes, because like I'm working with vocals a lot. Ever since my second friend died, I've been writing remixes for some reason. That's my coping mechanism. So, for instance, I've been staying up writing for 17 hours because my brain doesn't want to like deal with life, I guess. But your vocals sounded clean, like perfectly clean. It was great.
Okay, thanks.
Any hints on that?
Start with the vocal.
Oh, wow.
Don't move forward until it sounds like $1 million.
So different. I'll have to try that.
Well, once you mix it one time, you don't have to do anything else.
Right.
You just like get that first mix, and then on that track, you can do whatever you want editing wise. But once you like don't move until the vocal sounds like $1 million.
Right.
And the reason why I do that is because the singer is usually my client.
Right.
And if I don't make them sound good, they're not gonna okay the song. I won't get paid. So I give myself any instrument except for the vocal. So I will spend like 2 hours on the vocal after I organize the session. I'll spend 2 hours just making sure that I dialed it in so perfect. And then I do the whole remix, and then I go back and I dial in the vocal some more.
Right.
So
one thing me and Bob have talked about is how artists don't ever make their own vocal loud enough usually.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Turn your voice down because you know what you said. and you don't want to hear what you said.
You heard it.
You don't want to hear you.
And your voice sounds pretty lame all the time.
Right.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing. You know, I remember I'm a big Hendrix fan, a huge Hendrix fan. Kilo, I tell you, that's kind of the style of guitar play and everything. I just love Jimmy. And Jimmy, I mean, Jimmy's got a great voice, right? I love Jimmy's voice. He hated his voice so much that when he recorded, he would turn his back. He'd get in the ISO booth and turn his back to the engineer so nobody could see him singing. So he would be like sitting like in the closet by himself singing and wouldn't let anybody look at him because he was so insecure about his own voice. Jimi Hendrix. Freaking Jimmy.
I feel like I would be insecure about mine too if I didn't have to deal with all the singers and how insecure they were. It's really annoying when someone sounds like $1 million when they sing and they're like, I don't know. So like me dealing with that all the time makes it so I can't be a hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like, I am insecure about my voice, but I'm not gonna not put it out. Like I'm gonna do it and then put it out and then make the next one and put it out. And, you know, I also found, a few tricks to make my voice sound a little more manly. And once I figured those things out, I was like, okay, I like this sound. Yeah, and now I have the formula. You know, it took me a while to figure out what vocal sound I wanted for me, but I bought a new microphone, and I'm loving recording myself. It's fun.
Yeah, dude. Those vocals sounded so clean. I mean, not that my vocal sounds bad, but I'm using like acoustic versions of the songs that I found on fucking YouTube. So it's kids recording themselves, and then I make a full-on banger with double vocals sometimes. Like, I didn't know how dumb of an idea and as smart of an idea that would be, because like it sounds fresh.
It's cool stuff. But you're good. Kilo, I mean, for somebody that does, mostly instrumental electronic music, you do vocals great. I mean, that was the thing that really the biggest improvement you made on my music was that I gave you my tracks, and then suddenly, that was the first thing my girlfriend said. She's like, "I can hear you sing, and you sound good, And
I'm bumping that frequency we talked about last night, where like the human hearing is programmed to hear. I'm just bumping that in its vocal, and even in the mix. Not that that's all I'm doing, but that does do a little bit, in my opinion, to why you hear yourself now.
Right. Well, it's awesome. Anyway, we should probably get to the random questions.
Now that I have I did want to say one last memory with Malachi that I was going to bring up, and the phone died.
Oh, okay.
When we were talking about like things are always changing, right? And like your professor and stuff. I remember a time in my life, which I don't remember why I was down at this moment in my life, but Malachi had come over and we were hanging out. I think maybe I was drinking and we were just chilling. And I was talking about being unsatisfied with life and stuff. And I said, which to me now it sounds dumb. Back then it didn't. I was like, I just want things to be the way they used to be. Remember, I said I want to be the old me.
I don't remember that. So what did I say?
He was smart and he said, don't want to be like the old you. Want to be better than the old you, and know that you're constantly changing. And I paraphrased it, but it's like that's what that brought to my mind when we were talking about your professor. It's like, don't want things to go back to where you were. Want to go forward to where they are.
That's right. But Kilo, the Buddha would tell you.
You don't even know it.
Yeah, right. What did you say, Bob?
I was going to say the Buddha would tell you that the past doesn't exist anyway. So you're pining for something that's imaginary, it's not even really there. The only thing that exists is this right here where you are right now. So, live that moment. That's the thing.
Okay, let's live the moment of you asking your question while I continue to think about it.
All right. What was my question? Oh, okay. Yeah, I like my question. And so what we were doing, Malachi, but we act like we've been doing this forever. Really, Kilo and I just talk all the time. But what we talked about was that with these questions, but we each could ask a random question, and then we each have to answer that same question. So anyway, my question is, and Malachi, you answer first, being that you are the guest of honor.
And Malachi gets to ask a question. I forgot to.
All right, I'll come up with one. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. You could ask one too. All right, so if you could hang with anybody in history, who would it be?
Anyone in history.
Just anybody. Again,
Oh,
you interpret the question any way you want. It could be history could be last week, or it could be 1,000 years ago. It's entirely up to you.
I'm gonna say a Dalai Lama.
Hey, there you go. Right on. Now, see, that's an interesting question because the Dalai Lama is an entity that is reborn, with each generation. Right. So yeah.
So when I say it, you don't even know which one I'm talking about.
Don't know which one, right? Exactly. It could be 1,000 years ago. It could be today. That's a good answer. I like it.
That's what we were saying earlier. I was saying, well, what's history mean? And he said, well, probably dead by now. So you kind of got it right. You technically snuck past the curtain of like dead, but not dead.
There you go.
Well, I'm with it.
So Kilo, you got it.
Brain and just be within his energy.
Right on, man. Right on.
Yeah, number two would be Snoop Dogg.
The greatest thing about the Dalai Lama, and everything's great about it, I'm reading a book actually by the Dalai Lama. Well, to like a speech he gave that was annotated and turned into a book, right? But in any case, the great thing about the Dalai Lama is he's just smiling all the time. That guy has been he's been kicked out of his own country, the country he's supposed to be the leader, the spiritual leader of. He hasn't been able to go back for decades. He's still happy all the time. It's amazing.
And also, he's the last one. They messed up the chain, so he's gonna be the last one.
Oh, really?
And they asked him about it. Yeah, Google it and watch the video of him talking about it. They interviewed him and asked him, and he answered it with a smile on his face.
That's crazy.
I was like, yo, it's like if he can't be down by knowing that tradition that has lasted hundreds of years is now going to come to an end. Like, why am I crying over, my job? Why am I crying over this girl? It really put things in perspective.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, hey, Kilo, what's your answer?
Oh, we got an answer. Oh,
yeah, you got to answer. Who's your person from history, Kilo?
Oh, fuck.
Come on, you had all day to think about this.
Yeah, but, okay. Originally, probably my answer is the Buddha. Just because, I would like to know if he was real. Honestly. Yeah. I would also like to rub his belly, which that's a different Buddha. But no, I just want to be like, hey, bro, thanks for all the things you've done for people. I just want you to know, like, we are very grateful that you taught people to not be dumbasses and how to be happy when life sucks. There you go.
There you go. It's a great answer.
Say anything better than that.
There you go.
Either him or Jesus, but they both did the same type of thing. So
yeah. So I got to answer now too, right? Yeah, I don't know the answer to this. I have about 50 answers. Obviously, I'll just keep it to music and say it'd be either Huh?
That's not fair. We didn't pick music, people.
Okay.
Music is what he wants. That's what he
wants.
You
want me to pick a spiritual leader then? You kind of nailed the two best ones already. I'm not gonna.
You used the two Buddhists up. I got nothing more.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, no, go music. Go music.
If it's music, I would say probably either Hendrix or John Lennon. And probably Hendrix. I'd say Hendrix. That's who I'd want to.
I actually predicted that while you were talking.
Yeah, there you go. It's got to be one of the two. Those are two big idols. So, all right, Kilo, your question. Right?
Okay, so my question before you spoil things was supposed to be, what song that you've written are you the proudest of or that you like the most? But you already answered our question earlier in this interview for that. So I'm going to ask you, what is one song that you listen to that will never get old? Like, for instance, I cannot listen to All Stars all day or even twice a day.
Song that will never get old. ABC Jackson 5.
Oh, that's a great song. Right on. Good answer. Good answer.
What about you, Bob?
Me, a song that would never that I could listen to and it never gets old. I probably there's so many, honestly. I'll say Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones. I could probably just listen to the Stones all the time. They're pretty chill. But yeah, that'd be
mine is completely different genres than you guys, different energy, different time period.
This is something magical about these songs.
I know, right? I was thinking of songs I like, and I'm thinking, well, if that came on right now, I would not stop interviewing you to listen to it.
Yeah, but that's not what Jay question asking. Which one doesn't get old?
That's right.
But the song that I will always listen to and repeat over and over again if it comes on is Ultimate by Denzel Curry. That song, the way it comes in, the way that song is formatted, I'm like, this is the best song. It's not the best song in my opinion, but it's the song that will turn me up the fastest and keep me there. So there we go. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
your turn to ask.
Malachi.
If you could talk to the 14-year-old, your 14-year-old self, what would you say? One piece of advice.
What I thought of first is inappropriate. So I'm like, I don't think I'm.
Defer to Bob on this one.
Tell you what, I'll go first. You want me to go first? I have I got a very easy answer on this one because 14 is when I started drinking. So I would say don't. Just freaking don't. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time. You'll be better off if you don't. That's what I would tell my 14-year-old self.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Which is basically what I told my kid too. So there you go.
Now I have to go since Malachi asked me. Something that I live by now, which is trust yourself more.
There you go.
Learn that you got your own back because you're going to have your own back a lot in life. And you need to learn now that you will always be there for you.
That's a much better answer, Kilo.
Those are very,
That's a good one.
very different paradox answers right there.
Very good.
Yeah.
I wind up her back, not her. Never mind.
Wait, but Malachi, you didn't answer that question.
I did. I'm thinking of my answer. It's tough. I guess I'd say something like, it doesn't matter how book smart you are, you're still going to be a dumbass in the streets.
That's true.
There you go.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
All right.
All right, man. Well, I think we're done with this interview for now.
I think so. And
hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Malachi, do you have anything else you'd like to say? Anything at all, even if it's strokes and pregnant?
No.
Okay, I'm here now.
Nah, man, just in life, all you got to do is be good to yourself, be good to the people around you. How about this? I want to take a quote from Big Sean. The grass isn't green on the other side. It's green where you water it.
Ooh, I've never heard that, but
that's in one of his songs. Yeah.
I like that.
That's good.
Be grateful for what you have.
Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week for our next episode. We'll have somebody from the UK on.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Malachi, thank you very much. Really,
thank you. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here.
This is fun stuff. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad you came. And I thank you.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And then next week we got my buddy Tim Pitt, who is a producer in London, and he's known professionally as Equalization. He's from England, so it's Equalization with an S, isn't it? I think you spell it with a Z in America, but anyway, he's a cool dude, very interesting. He's been producing records since the 80s, and neat dude. So that'll be next week. But Malachi, Mott, thank you so much. Everybody go to malachimott.com. Go look up Malachi on the Spotify, and and we'll have all the links when this goes live. We'll have links for everything. So rock on.
Yes.
No doubt.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, folks.
Perfect.
Adios.
Hey, let's take a minute.